Sunday Night Football is in the books, and we're going to react to that, plus hit a couple of other big NFL news items from the afternoon slate here on Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. Bengals 17, Giants 7. We'll react to this one in a moment, but hey, we are almost at 3,500 subscribers here on the channel. Thanks to all of you. Let's continue to grow. If you want daily NFL content here on this channel, some college football as well, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. We are 14 subs away from 3,500. Let's freaking go. Hit that subscribe button right now. Okay, Bengals 17, Giants 7, and it was about as boring as the score looks. Hey, it really was. It was 7-0 Bengals at the half. It was 7-all for a little while. Then it was 10-7 Bengals for a little while, and you know, you just feel for the Giants defense because they gave Daniel Jones chance after chance after chance after chance after chance, and he just did not deliver. Greg Joseph missed a couple of field goals, although the second one was with, 45 seconds left where you kick it to save time. You would have had to get the onside kick. That one doesn't matter as much, but the one earlier would have tied the game at 10. Both were under 50 yards, so that's pretty brutal from that standpoint. But it's just, if I'm a Giants fan, I just don't want to watch this anymore. And I think Daboll is a pretty good coach, and I think he's done a decent job with Jones this year. Like, he's played better this year than he looked last year, but his best is average. And, like, if your best is average, you can't make $45 million per year. He's got the second biggest cap hit in the NFL this year. And he's playing like the 25th best quarterback in the league. If you go 1 through 32, is he one of the top 32 starters? Probably. But the fact that that isn't a definitive yes means you made a massive mistake in paying him. I mean, you hold Joe Burrow to 19 of 28 for 208 passing, did rip you for a 47-yard touchdown run in the first half, but you hold him to 7 points in the first half, 10 points for pretty much the entire game until they finally break through in the final 3 minutes. And you can't get that done at home. That's not good enough. That's not acceptable if I'm Brian Daboll. I'm looking at this. Joe Burrow has been playing like an MVP candidate recently. I get the Bengals came in at 1-4, not because of their offense. Their offense the last 3 or 4 weeks has been fantastic. He threw for almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns against Baltimore last week in a losing effort, and you hold him to 17 effing points, really 10 points if we're being honest, and you lose the game at home, and quite frankly, it never really felt like you were going to win. That's embarrassing. That is frustrating as hell. That's one of those where it's a team sport and you got your team's back, but eventually you start looking around the room in that locker room and those film studies like, yo, can this quarterback, can this offense do better? Can he give us something? Because this is not going to cut it. I mean, it's just not. 22 of 41, 205 passing, through an awful interception where he's under pressure and kind of gets hit as he throws, and it just floats in the air and it's picked off. It's like, dude, just take the sack. You're in field goal range. He rushed for 50-plus yards, but it's just, again, his best is not a top 50. I think his best is fringe top 20. He on a good day, he might be the 18th best quarterback in the NFL. And you say, okay, there's value in that in the NFL. Bridge starter, maybe even a notch above bridge starter. That's not $45 million per year. That's somewhere between bridge QB money and the money Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield got. Maybe it's $20 million per year. Even if you want to give him the Baker deal or whatever, $30 a year. Like, I think Baker got $50 million guaranteed on his deal. Daniel Jones, I want to say, got 85 or something like that. It's just, Baker Mayfield runs laps around Daniel Jones. Laps. Like, this game isolated isn't the worst game I've ever seen, but how many times have we seen this game from Jones? And considering what he's being paid, when you get the contract, you get judged more harshly. You just do. And he's just not a good enough player. And it's a wasted game from your defense, who didn't even have Kayvon Thibodeau tonight. And I get it. Malik Nabers is out again with a concussion. He's at a Travis Scott concert for some reason while he's in the concussion protocol. Can't go tonight. And, Devin Singletary's out. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying this is Daniel Jones' 6th season as the Giants starting quarterback. And it's just the same story. It's dink and dunk. He can't throw the ball downfield. He has a bad turnover. He doesn't go through his progressions fast enough. He's just not a high-level starter. Is he better than he showed last year? Yeah, he's a fringe starter in this league. If you cut him tomorrow, he'd probably get signed next year to be one of those bridge starter, compete with the rookie type of jobs, right? Jacoby Brissett, Andy Dalton. He'd be in that grouping, and he might be on the higher end of that. But that's what he is. And to hold Joe Burrow to this output tonight with the way he's been playing, and to really not even have a chance to win is just mind-boggling. It's mind-bogglingly bad, and I'd be frustrated as hell if I was a Giants fan. For Cincinnati, big win, had to have it. 2-4 now. They still clearly have a long way to go. They have yet to play a complete game. Before tonight, the offense was humming and the defense was struggling. Tonight, defense plays great. Offense doesn't look good. So they got to start playing more complementary football. Both these teams are 2-4, but the Giants aren't serious to me. But in an AFC that's very top-heavy this year, I think Cincinnati could get back into the hunt. They're at Cleveland next week. That's a game they should win. Deshaun Watson's been terrible. Philly at home the week after that. That's a winnable game. And then the Raiders at home. If they really focus in here, they could be 5-4 like that. They could win the next 3, and then you go to Baltimore to face Lamar Jackson at 5-4, the rematch from a couple of weeks ago, or from last week. So Cincinnati, despite the 1-4 start, they've got an opportunity to get back into the hunt here. Had to get this one tonight. Sometimes it doesn't matter how you win. You just got to get it done. And the Bengals did that tonight. And kudos to them because it was a much-needed win. Okay, so earlier we did an NFL Week 6 reaction from the early slate, the London game, etc. Want to hit a couple of stories from the afternoon games. One, we just got to talk about Dallas-Detroit. This was an absolute bludgeoning. 47-9. You want to know, I shouldn't call it a fun fact, fun stat, whatever you want to call it. In the Cowboys' last 4 home games, including the playoff loss to Green Bay, where I think they gave up 48 points, they have given up 167 points in 4 games. Quick math, that's about 42 points per game at home. This is the NFL. This isn't the Big 12. 40 points in the NFL is a ton. If you score 30 points, you had a hell of a day. The Lions scored 47, and it easily could have been 55. It really could have. At the end of the game, Ben Johnson, the Lions OC, he's lining up backup offensive lineman Dan Skipper at receiver and having him run routes. They ran a play where they pitched the ball to Penei Sewell on a pretty sweet design. He's just trying everything. He's like, this game's over. I'm going to empty out the playbook. It's embarrassing for Dallas. And Jerry Jones is up in his suite, and he's just like, what is going on here? And of course, he gets asked after the game, is Mike McCarthy on the hot seat? Are you considering a coaching change? And he said no, but got a little chippy, and he's done this before with Wade Phillips. This felt an awful like Wade Phillips' last game when he got canned. Can't remember who blew them out, but it was bad. They gave Jason Garrett the interim title. I don't even know who you'd give it to. You're going to make Mike Zimmer the interim. His defense has gotten pantsed multiple times. The Saints pantsed them. It's one thing for Detroit to do it today. Detroit's offense is really good, but the Saints hung 40-plus on them. They have not been the same since then. This team, and don't even get me started with Dak Prescott. Dak's been pretty bad to start this year. 2 weeks in a row, he's just throwing the ball away left and right. And, I think it's easy for the average fan to make fun of Dak. He throws too many picks. Well, he really doesn't historically. He's got one of the lowest interception percentages in NFL history based on dropbacks. But they tend to come in bunches for him, and they have come in bunches the last couple of weeks. I think he's got 4 or 5 in the last 2 games. A lot of ugly ones too, and I think that's what stands out with Dak. His picks are really bad. It's like, dude, what are you doing? He was terrible. They're just a bad team. I know they're 3-3, but I watch them right now, in the pecking order of the NFC, I mean, in their own division, I'd take Washington over them right now. Philly hasn't been very good, but I would pick Philly over them right now. I think we saw the Giants 2 weeks ago play with them. It was 20-15. Dallas beat them in a tight game. So clearly, they're pretty close together. I think all 4 NFC North teams would handle the Cowboys pretty easily. The 49ers clearly would. I think Seattle would. Dallas does not look like a playoff team. And they really don't look that close. So the good news, if you're a Cowboys fan, they are 3-3. It's not like the season's over, but you're talking about closing the gap of, forget being a contender, being a playoff team. I mean, there's a gap. There is a gap right now between Dallas and teams jockeying for NFC wildcard spots, just in terms of the eye test. It's not good. It's not good at all. And this Mike McCarthy thing, this Jerry thing, Bill Belichick rumors flying all over the place. I think Schefter had Jordan Schultz threw a tweet out there saying, Bill Belichick and the Jones family have a great relationship. Like, those rumors aren't going to go away. Unless the Cowboys start winning consistently, those are not going to go away. And look, give McCarthy credit. They've won 12 games 3 years in a row. They've just faltered in the playoffs. But now it's trickling into the regular season. Like, you're not just losing games in the regular season now. You're getting blown out. You've gotten blown out 4 straight home games dating back to that wild card game. Like, that's why I thought Jerry should have made a change after that wild card game last year. It wasn't that you lost. It's that you got embarrassed by the 7th seed at home. Like, 12-5 is fine. It's awesome. It's a good season. But when you get pantsed by a wild card team in your own building, it's like, what's the point? I don't know. I think Dallas is in big trouble. CeeDee Lamb's their only difference maker on offense. The defense has clearly taken multiple steps back after losing Dan Quinn. Mike Zimmer has not looked good calling plays there. It's gotten bad, and it's gotten bad fast. Speaking of bad, and this was tough, Aidan Hutchinson in this game suffered a major injury. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you not to go, but feel free to go look at your own discretion. It's on Twitter. Aidan Hutchinson's leg snapped. His leg snapped. There's a slow-mo out there. It is tough to watch. Some people like checking it out, so feel free if you want to. I watched it the one time. That's it. That's the only time I'm gonna. It was so bad that there was like a 30-minute stoppage in the game. Like, they had to get it in the air cast. I mean, it's one of those freak deals where you're like, whoa, let's make sure, let's salvage this leg here. He had to have emergency surgery in Dallas. The good news is it sounds like he's going to make a full recovery. I think Rappaport had a report that he should be ready for 2025, but clearly his season's over. Sounds like it's going to be okay long term, so that's great news for Hutchinson, who was just off to a hell of a start, leading the NFL in sacks through 5 weeks. And that was with the bye week, by the way, so he was playing well. By the way, due for a contract, so we'll see how that plays out. That's a bummer. They might just let next year play out now. We'll see. And 2, let's face it, this is a major blow to Detroit. I know their defense played well as a whole today, but that is their weakness, especially their secondary. Well, how do you overcome a mediocre secondary? You get after the quarterback. Well, you can't replace Aidan Hutchinson. Like, I would expect them to make some sort of a move at the deadline because clearly they're a contender. But even if you get a good pass rusher in there, the chance he even gives you 85% of Hutchinson is very slim. He plays the run, plays the pass. He's like the new Max Crosby. His batteries never run out. And he's done now. He's out for the year. And that's a massive blow for Detroit, who's trying to break through after getting to the NFC title game and get to a Super Bowl. Now, the offense is humming. They've hit their stride the last 3 weeks. The defense played better today, clearly. They're capable on that side, but they just lost their best defensive player. And that's hard for any team to overcome. So, thoughts with Aidan Hutchinson. Seems like it's going to be okay long term. Clearly a long recovery ahead. In the short term for Detroit, next few weeks will be interesting. Trade deadline November 5th. I would expect them to be active in adding an impactful defensive player, whether that's, I would have said in the secondary, but now maybe you add a pass rusher. Maybe you got to get someone that can put his hand in the dirt and get after the quarterback because clearly they're going to miss Aidan Hutchinson. All right, there you have it. Little 4 Verts, Sunday Night Football plus NFL news reaction here on a Sunday night. Again, help us reach 3,500 subscribers here on the channel. We will be back tomorrow with more NFL coverage here on 4 Verts. Appreciate you tuning in. See you then.